before you do anything, the EMod or the chip replacement, you want to power down the system. Power down the system, pull the door off, put in your tabs, slide the door to the side. We're going to go ahead and I'm actually going to remove this to show you where the power switch is. So again, I know this one doesn't have the ALD, so I'm going to lift up on the tabs. I'm going to flip the receptacle down towards me, pull out the cartridge vertically so it doesn't leak. And if you come down here, you can actually see there's your power cord going in, and just to the side of it, now some of the ones coming out now will actually be reversed, but just to the side of the power cord is a rocker switch. You can turn that rocker switch off, and that powers down your screen. Now you can go ahead and get inside the EMod. We're going to remove the two cover retaining screws, which I've already removed. Going to lift the cover up, slide it back towards you. Be careful with these little wires here. Now what I like to do with these little connectors, there's 3 connections in here. I like to push it on the tab, and instead of just straight pulling out, kind of give it a slight bend towards the back, and that will allow it to slide off really easy. This is not the normal connection you're going to see. It's a little bit bigger, but same thing. You're going to push in on the tab, and you're going to pull it apart. And then your HDMI. I'm going to take the HDMI off, and now the whole top comes off. Okay, in order to get to the EMod, in order to do a chip replacement or an EMod replacement, you're going to need to take this cover off. And in order to get to the cover, there are 6 screws. 3 of them are located down here, which you cannot get to in its current position. So you need to remove these 4 screws for this stainless steel harness, and you're going to pull this up and out. You're going to need a stubby screwdriver. Very tight quarters getting these out. Okay, once the last of the 4 screws is removed, you can grab the entire, kind of hangs up in there a little bit. You can grab the entire EMod bracket and slightly pull this up. There's a lot of different wires and they're tied in a lot of different places, so you may not be able to pull it out as much as you think. You can go ahead and let it rest on the 2 screws sticking out here, and you can get to it if there's enough room, or if you can get it pulled up just enough, you can have it rest sitting on the back here. This one's not going to allow me to do it, so I'm going to have to just hold it and take these 6 screws out. So there's the 3 back here that you couldn't get to with the bracket in. You need to take this top off to do an EMod replacement and a chip replacement. If you're doing an EMod replacement, there's going to be 2 screws down inside. Okay, so we now have our top taken off. And there is a screw, a Phillips screw in here and in here that tie the EMod to the bracket. Once you remove those, the EMod can be unplugged by undoing all of the harnesses and clipping your zip ties, and then you can pull the EMod off. Okay, I was able to loosen up some of the wires underneath and actually get this to set up here to where I could work on it a little bit better. So to replace the EMod, we're going to go in and we're going to remove the 2 Phillips screws that attach to the bracket. And over here it just sits on 2 pins. So there's only 2 screws for the EMod. I'm going to go ahead and turn counterclockwise, probably before you remove the screws. The main harness, it kind of cams on there. So you're going to want to turn it, pop off the main harness, pop off all harnesses all the way around. And then the power that is entering the system, you go ahead and unplug those 2 harnesses, and you should have the EMod in hand.
Cool, we're going.
So now we're going to go ahead and we slid the EMod back in on the bracket. We're going to reinstall the 4 screws. The one here, here, there, and there. That's just, you gotta kind of pull them up, line it up on the screw insert, and tighten them down. Then we'll reassemble the top. Okay, now that our 4 screws are tight, we're gonna go ahead and reassemble the top. Again, being very careful with these wires. Plug in. Again, this one is, you're not gonna see, you're gonna see a little bit bigger connection that looks like this. And then we're gonna plug in the HDMI. And we want to take these wires and carefully tuck them down in this cavity while we reassemble the top. Okay, now we're going to make sure back here there's a metal lip. That metal lip has to go underneath the steel and back. So we're going to come down. We're going to make sure it hooks. Then we're going to slide the top back. We're going to hook it underneath and slide it back. Then reinsert the 2 screws, pinching the top down.